Welcome back to Prison Yard TV, where we keep it live and uncut. Today, as you see the thumbnail, I got a special guest. I did several videos about the Rolling 60 Crips from LA. I did a specific video about Pretty Boy, and I met Pretty Boy, I believe, in 1991, and he's here today, and I got a lot of questions for him. So, no further ado, here is Pretty Boy from Rolling 60s. What's up, Pretty Boy?
Hey, what's going on?
You know, just trying to maintain my composure, trying to stay sucker free out here.
That's right.
Yeah. Man, I've been trying to get a hold of you for probably about a year now. And I tried to go through Kev Mack, couldn't get a hold of you through Kev Mack. You know, he's a busy guy. And then you made a comment on one of the videos I did, and that's how I got a hold of you. But I'm honored to get a hold of you because there's a lot of things I wanted to discuss with you, and including, I don't know how open you are to discuss some of your homies that I happen to get to know through the prison system or on the street. And the only one I really got to know on the street was Keita Rock at one of the videos we were shooting down there. And I know most of these cats are still incarcerated, and I don't like talking about people are doing videos about people that are still active in the gang world or prison activities unless I speak to them first. And I held out for a year before I did the video on you. And you know, I kept it real simple because I wanted to talk to you first.
Yeah.
But I want you to tell my viewers a little bit about yourself, where you come from, when I met you and how I met you and why I met you. If you remember.
Okay. Well, you know, first off, I was born in New Orleans. You know, came out here to LA all my life. And I actually grew up on the east side. So I moved next door to Raymond, Washington, when everybody know who he is. You know, everybody know Raymond, you know, started the Crips. So I ended up, after meeting him, and I ended up moving to the west side, whereas the 60s now, around the corner from Horseman Junior High, in the front hood, we should call it, in the 60s. You know, and back then, like I say, now Crippin' has just really started taking off big. It really started taking off in the early 70s. I'm talking about early 70s. Yeah. So you still had east and west side. You still didn't have individual gangs broken up as far as Crips was concerned. And before you know it, I seen it coming though, but before you know it, we start getting individual gangs, you know. So we ended up getting like the undergrounds, the UGs, 107 UGs underground. You know, that was the founder, Big Whack from UG, and Chip, Goo, you know, all these dudes. And I used to hang over there a lot because I didn't like. Let me tell you something about me. I didn't like hanging in my hood only. I didn't like doing that. I like to spread around. That's why a lot of hoods know me. You know, I don't like to keep myself based just in the hood.
And you're still like that today.
Yeah, because you got some dudes like that. They just only stay in the hood. I guess they feel safe. But you know, I used to run with the UGs, 111s, 90s, Harlems, the early 40s. From when because a lot of people, you know, they asked me about the 40s. I said, in the 40s, been out since I was in school. So don't think they came like way late. They came out when I was in school because I knew them. You know, so then you had the 7/8, which was hustlers, right? They always had been out back then. You know, then you had, and a lot of people don't know this, you had the 90s, you had the West Side 90s, and then you had the Hoover Side 90s. So a lot of people don't know that the original 90s were 90 gangsters. Then
Really?
you had the 90 Hoovers
Yeah.
on the other side. Now, a lot of people don't know the history of how they became neighborhoods. And what ended up happening is when the 90 Hoovers, when they got caught up in that murder on Arnie from 107, then they started fighting the A Trey Hoovers. Then one of the 90s, Too Sweet, he ended up getting killed. So it was going back and forth. So before I was incarcerated, Big Space Ghost called me up. He said, "Look, Freddie, we got a problem here. We getting into it with all these Hoovers and stuff like that." And he was basically saying, what if you think your homeboys would be down for backing us? So I straight told him, I said, here's the deal. If they do, you're going to have to drop the Hoover. That was back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up running with a lot of them, introduced them to a lot of the homies, and we got real close. So anyway, the 90s on the west side was still 90 Gangster. So by 1984, after I got incarcerated, they formed 90 West Coast. So that didn't last less than a year. Then they turned neighborhood. So that's in 84.
And 84.
At the end, matter of fact, by the end of 84. Because like I said, they was claiming 90 West Coast at first, but that was only less than a year. Then it just flip a full neighborhood.
Yeah, man, that's some history right there, because I did not know that 90 used to be gangsters. I know a lot of 90.
Yeah, on the western side. See, they had two sides of 90.
Yeah.
90 Hoover, 90 on the western side, but the 90 on the western side was 90 Gangsters, right? So, like I said, and when the flip came, the conversion came, like I said, in 90, by the end of 94, that's when they were full neighborhood. So my brother was from 90. So I used to be up there all the time.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when I got arrested, I was in the car with Big Ant Dog from 90.
Uh-huh.
We was in the car together, and I got arrested in the 90 neighborhood by the gang unit.
When you caught your last case that you got out.
Yeah.
So my viewers, I wanted to get into, when did you go to prison and when was you released?
Well, I went to prison. I actually got arrested January 5th, 1984. And I got released in mid 2015.
30 what? How many years is that?
32.
32 years on a 25 life sentence.
Yeah.
And that's where I was fortunate enough to meet you. I don't know if DVI was your first prison, but that's where I met you. I believe, I want to say I got there in 90. The first time I went to DVI was in 90. And I went there from Vacaville reception, actually. And I got into it with the police at Vacaville, and they're like, we got something for you. And they sent me to DVI, and they threatened me, talking about, you're going to gladiator school. And I was amazed because I come from YA. And the first time I looked at that yard out my window, I was on the third tier. I want to say an H wing or F wing, the one that you could see the yard in back of the handball court. And all you seen out the window was red and blue on the yard. Yeah. Everybody had their flags. And I was like, damn, he wasn't lying. This is gladiator school. But
it was bad back then.
I got there May.
No, by the time you got there, I had been there some years by the time you got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd been there. I got there in 85.
So you was there 5 years before I got there.
Yeah, it was cracking.
When I got there, we went on lockdown, and I did a story about it, but you and I believe Hoover T was the MAC reps at that time, right?
Yeah.
Because you came to my cell, and I had a Samoan cellie, Rocky Matafa. He was from SOS. And he got up and he started talking to you. And I was like, man, who was that? He was like, that's Pretty Boy from 60s. I always heard your name. And I read it. I read your name in, Monster Cody's book. We'll get into that in a little while. But I was like, that's Pretty Boy. So I navigated, because in YA, I ran with Harlem in the 60s. MD from 60s. So I always navigated to the neighborhood side of LA, not the gangster side. Even though I got along with a few Hoovers and some 8 trays and some 4 trays. But when I met you, I was like, damn, that's Pretty Boy. And you was up on the stage playing your guitar. And I remember this shit like it was yesterday, man. And I want to say it was 1990. But can you tell my viewers, because I got a lot of young viewers on here, and I don't know if you watch my channel, but it's kind of geared towards saving the youth from having to go to prison and do the things that we already did. And a lot of people think prison is soft nowadays, which I can't argue with that. Prison has changed since we was there in the 80s and 90s.
No, it changed drastically.
And how did you conform to change? And I mean, you was there 32 years, and I know you was on the front line and you seen the change firsthand. How did you adjust to that? Did you just stay out the way?
No, I was still, I ain't gonna lie, I was still active. I was still active Tracy. I was still active Lancaster. I still was active when I got to Donovan, right? But then, like, I guess halfway through Donovan, I think at the time I was about 44, 45, 46. And I got to thinking, I said, damn, you got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't spend the rest of your life in here just fighting every day, right? And watching people going home. So by then, prison broke down and got mellow, because I'm going to tell you something. See, when the Crips and Bloods was fighting in prison, they was bringing their street stuff into the joint.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you when it slowed down. When they had that LA riot, and this happened at Tracy, and a lot of dudes that was there, it will tell you this if they ever bring it up, or you ever talk to them if they was there. So when the LA riots hit, it kind of woke a lot of Crips and Bloods up, like, damn, what the hell are we fighting each other for, right? And look what they doing to us on the street.
Yeah.
So we all brought some tables out to the yard, made a big old tea like on the yard, right? We put food, drink, everything on there, right? And so we made a pact. We said, anybody come in anything black, whether they Crips or Blood, we taking off on them. See, because the riot kind of woke us up.
Yeah.
Because when the riot kicked off, the lieutenants and the sergeants hit me up in the hallway. They said they were scared. See, that's what I never liked about guards. They be scary and shit when shit jump off. So they said, your homeboys ain't gonna do nothing due to the riots. What you telling me for? That ain't none of my business.
Yeah.
So I'm like this, right? You know what I'm saying? Whatever's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I'm not going to sit up there and dictate and say, oh, this is not going to go down. You're well assured. I couldn't give a damn. I couldn't care less.
And you was at Tracy when the riots happened?
Huh?
When the riots went down in LA, you was in Tracy?
Yeah.
You was in Tracy.
I was in Tracy. And them guards were, when I say them guards were scared.
Yeah, they were spooked. I can imagine.
They were scared because they thought like when it hit, we was just gonna take flight also.
So all the Crips, Bloods, even the Bay Cats, they all came together. Just the Crips and Bloods.
Yeah, it was everybody. We all came together. But I'm gonna tell you what almost went wrong. And I don't really talk about this right here. It's gonna be the first time here. So we was out on the yard. Me, Verdi Swan from East Coast, Big Kibo from 111. A lot of us on the yard, so we having a meeting, getting this together.
I want to talk about Kibo when you're done with this.
All right. So we having a big meeting on the yard with these dudes, right? So these two dudes decided they wanted to keep the shit going. So they had their sentries posted. We had ours posted. But one of the sentries we should have never had posted. So we sitting up here talking to these dudes. We over there with them. This dude decides he told his homeboy to get off on one of the BGF sentries, fire on him. So when he fired on him, the guards was already looking at that middle tower. Mm-hmm. They was waiting. They was looking for an excuse to kill us. So when he fired on him, the guard raised it and bust around into the dirt. When he bust around, we all jump on the ground. So we like, what the hell going on? Now we didn't know this dude did this. Now, suppose them dudes would have reacted and jumped up and stabbed us all up because we was over with them talking to them.
Yeah.
So the dude that did it, we said, dude, you got to go because you put our lives in danger. See, so
Where
what
was
the
he
deed that
from? Where was the cat from?
I was even from the east side of Compton. He was from somewhere. But what happened was they used that opportunity to write up some paperwork to say that I told dude to do this. And guess who came up with the paperwork? It
Who?
was a Mexican that worked in program and a brother that was a BGF. So they came at me. Both of them had the paperwork because they had to do the typing on it.
Yeah.
They said, "Pretty, read this shit." And when you read it, they said, "Tear this up and throw it in the trash." So when I read it, it said that I told dude to take off on one of the BGFs. See, this was to keep stuff going. So that's when we I took the paperwork, I tore it up, I went in the hallway, confronted the associate warden and the lieutenant, and I went off. I said, "Man, who the fuck y'all think y'all playing?" And they said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Check this out, man. You trying to get me killed or something?" So they told me to back up, right? And I'm still cursing these motherfuckers out. So anyway, we go from building to building, right? Me, the homies, the Crips, we go from building to building, tell everybody, "Hey man, that shit was a mistake. So don't worry about that. We got that under control."
Yeah.
So because everybody thinking because he did this, it was going to be a big old thing.
Yeah.
Now, if it was ignorant heads involved, right, it would have been a big thing. But see, this is why you don't take ignorant people around you. With any type of, I don't care what type of organization you running, whether it's you running illegal or legal, you don't take no ignorant person around you because the ignorant person will get you killed.
So,
and that's what.
Okay, I understand the story perfectly clear, right? But
yeah,
okay, so someone from LA took off on a Jama Cat.
Yeah.
Okay, and somebody you didn't specify said that your name was brought up, that you sent the Compton Cat to do that. And these are the games I did a video, a series of games that people play in prison, and not just convicts play them. Guards play them, staff play them, wardens play them, and they do that to keep animosity going between two groups so we don't focus on them.
I know, but that's what it was about.
That's what it was.
It wasn't the inmate that did that. The guards did that. The guards turned around and used that as an opportunity to keep us going at it. But we didn't go at it after that. We didn't, it was squashed. But they used that opportunity to keep this shit going.
See, I had a CO on my channel like 3 months ago, and he's exposing CDC right now. I don't know if you ever check out his channel. It's called Prison Guard TV.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a CO at Centinela, and then he went to Donovan, and he's seen all this bullshit going on that staff was doing, and he just straight quit and started a YouTube channel. Well, I wanted him on my channel for a reason, because I've had so many people that's been to prison on my channel. I said, let me get this guy on here and pick his brain a little bit and see if he admits to some of the corruption that CDCR, the staff, commit. Because some of them commit more crimes than we ever committed that landed us in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get into that because I'm getting off track, but that whole incident which you just described right there, man, tells a lot about correctional officers, staff. And you said you was talking to a lieutenant and a captain when you confronted him.
Matter of fact, I was cursing them out. That's how mad I was, because for them to do that, to keep blacks going at it with each other, that's when I just exploded on them.
And a lot of my viewers, some of them ain't been to prison. When you confront anybody with stripes, anybody with bars, especially a captain, they really get paranoid because they don't know our intentions. And like you said, they told you to back up. So that tells me they knew what was going on.
They knew. They knew because the two dudes that was the clerks up there told me that they told them to write that up like that.
Write it up just like that.
They told them to write it up just like this. And they came right downstairs, hand me the paperwork. Even the Mexican dude that was a clerk, he showed me the paperwork. He said, hey, Holmes. He said, after you read this, tear this. I went straight to the bathroom after I read it and I was going to save it or send it home behind some papers or whatever. I just tore it up, right? I just went ahead and flushed it.
So how did you go about ironing it out with the BGFs? Because I know
No,
they had to hear about it.
no, because what happened was, since it involved both parties, we knew that dude just took off on his own. We knew it wasn't no planned thing. So we got together. We all talked about it. We went from building to building and we explained this dude took off on his own. This wasn't no planned thing. Wasn't supposed to go. It's not going to go any further. So that ended that, because that was the reason why we was having to meet, because of the Crip and Blood thing up north, down south thing had been going on for so long.
Yeah.
We had been fighting these dudes for a long time, but it took the LA riots to actually make us back up and then see who the real enemy was.
Yeah. And see, that's something I wanted to touch on. So I've been a Crip since 1983. That's when Sacramento started my neighborhood in 1983. I'm a first generation like you. And ever since, it wasn't so much in YA, but ever since I went to prison, it seems like the Crips and BGF, I call them JAMA. I don't really go by BGF no more. I don't use them letters, but we've always had some kind of friction. We'd had riots with them, with Compton Cats. And it's like, where does this animosity come from? And Bobo Floyd from Harlem was my cellie. And he's a little bit older than you. And he told me, he said it started in Quentin in 1979. He said a Crip stabbed a BGF cat, I forgot, in the adjustment center or some shit. That's way before my time. But do you think that I've had some cats on here that are doing life right now? A couple weeks ago, one of my homeboys, and he said, dog, the blacks ain't ready, man. All these Mexicans are programming together, and they got a thing called End of Hostilities. And they're eating together, the North and the South. And he said, all it's going to take is one black to get into it with a Mexican, and we all going to it's going to be ugly for us. So do you think in 2023 that all the blacks will ever all come together, or do you think it ain't enough leadership for it? No,
I'm going to tell you what the problem is right now. See, I told somebody a long time ago, right? When youngsters say, well, y'all used to, but that's used to. I said, you got to realize something. The dudes that I used to war against, right, whether they was Crips or Bloods, whatever, back in the 70s, we all knew each other prior to gangbanging.
Yeah.
Like the A-Trays, right? I knew a lot of them dudes years and years before we all started gangbanging. So when we got older and we stopped having the hostilities towards each other, and then we just started just kicking it, right? Now we can sit back and laugh and say, hey, remember how we used to fight and blah, 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 this, here, and that, right? But the thing about it is we could do that. Now, the youngsters didn't know these dudes in school or years before. They just going straight into a war. So they just going to jail. We don't like them. They don't like us. So they didn't have time to know them before they start warring. They just went into it. So that's the difference between us and the youngsters, because they're taking on a war, inheriting a war that we started. But we can grow up and say, hey, look, right? We was kids, right? We was tripping. But see, like I always tell everybody, even on the other podcast, gangbanging as we know it is over with. I'm telling you right now, this is not the 70s no more. This is not the 80s. You can't get away with everything. Let me tell you something. A youngster right now trying to build a name for himself is only going to last 6 months at the most. The first time you pull a trigger and they change the life laws, and you already know how they did it, the first time a youngster he ain't going to get out like we did. We was under the old life law. Yeah. So we had a chance to get out in our early 50s. Even though some of us went in from 18 to 22 years old. Yeah. We all was able to come out like in our late 40s, early 50s. Now, if you catch a life sentence now, you ain't coming home. It ain't no such thing as, when I get out, you ain't going nowhere.
You gonna die.
Because when they sentence you the way they got it now, see, when I went in, 15 to 25 had just came out. They was doing day for day on a life sentence. So I was supposed to get out in 1998. But what happened was they changed and said lifers wasn't supposed to get day for day. So they changed the law back to third. So now I'm supposed to got out in 17 years, 8 months.
Yeah.
Then we got the Governor Wilson and the rest of these clowns came in there talking about no lifers is going home on their watch. That's how the lifers stayed in so as long as they did. Now the courts intervened and said, hold up. Y'all just can't just give these dudes life without, and they got life with the possibility.
Yeah.
So they came up with a plan. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We coming up with Marcy's Law. And we coming up with the other bill. So what they did, when they changed the lifer law now, they made it to where if you get 25 to life, you ain't doing no third time on that. You're going to do the whole 25th year before you see your first board hearing. Then they turned around and flipped it. Like when I came in, it was 25 for the murder and two years for the gun. Now they flipped it. If you get 25 for the murder, you're going to get 25 for the gun. And that's running back to back. And if you got any type of other crap with it, you're going to get that added on with it. Right. So now you ended up doing probably 75 years of life, and you probably 25 or 30 years old. They done sealed your death sentence. What's the use of going to the parole board? You ain't gonna make it out. You ain't gonna make it out. So this is how they did. And then when they came up with Marcy's Law, they even made it even the seal the fate even worse. Now they came with Marcy's Law. When you go to the parole board, they can give you a 3-year denial, 5-year denial, 7, 10, and a 15. So now, if you go to the board, say you came in at 25.
Yeah.
And you went to the board and you was, say, 59 years old. And you went in there, you didn't have your little riots, your 115s, and they turn around and say, well, you've been fucking up. We're going to give you a 15-year denial. Well, what's the use of coming back? Because you ain't going to make it. And see, here's the thing. This is where a lot of dudes make their mistake at. Let me say this real quick. This is where a lot of dudes make their mistake at in the prison system. They think if they get a write-up, they got to keep postponing their hearing like the write-up going to go away. I'm going to tell you what the board told me one time. He said, I don't know why y'all keep postponing these hearings because you got this write-up. That write-up don't go away. We still going to talk about it when you get here, and we still going to give you deny you on it. Yeah. So why y'all keep putting these write-ups off?
Yeah. Hey, pretty boy. Hey, I know you remember this individual, Greg Powell.
Who?
Greg Powell.
Yep.
The onion field killer.
Yeah. You know, look, I used to kick it with this dude on the yard when he was playing tennis.
Look, yeah. So I was in the cell next to him. I was in D wing 112. He was in 111, right?
Yeah.
And every time they opened his door and they call him for board, he would slam his door and tell Cologne, fuck you, I ain't going to board. And he would never talk to nobody. He would just go out and play tennis and keep to himself, right? And every time he went to board, they would play his movie on TV.
I know.
And so, you know, so he wouldn't get out. So I tried talking to him a few times. He didn't talk to me until I got to CMC. He was at CMC. That's where he died at. He was at CMC with me. And I talked to him because by then I already wrote my books. And I was like, hey, Greg, I don't know if you remember me from DBI, but I tried to talk to you then. And I said, man, why don't you because he always told me that movie in that book that they wrote about him was incorrect. He said that wasn't the truth. And I told him I let him read one of my books, and I was like, give me the real story and let me write the book for you. And he never wanted to do it. Unfortunately, he died, man. But yeah, Greg was I can't say he was a good dude, but he was a real convict. He didn't talk to no one. He stayed out of the way. And I don't know his circumstances.
I'm going to tell you what he told me, right? I used to always chop it up with him about a tennis court.
Yeah.
And I asked him one day, right? I didn't want to ask him this. I said, man, what happened to your crime partner? Man, Greg looked at me. He said, man, if I ever see that motherfucker, I'm going to kill him.
Ooh.
That was the last thing he said on that.
They let him out, right?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Dang. I don't know why. Oh, shit. Wait a minute. My Bluetooth went off.
What happened?
Bluetooth went off. Wait a minute. Put it back on.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, look. Let's change the subject. I wanted to talk about Monster Cody because
all right, hold on. Let me wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I'm trying to get this Bluetooth back on.
Okay. Uh-oh. He disappeared. He might have to go back and hit the link again. Yeah, I want to get into some I've been knowing Pretty Boy for 30, probably 32 years, I think. Add the stream.
Oh,
Okay. Hey, can you hear me all right?
yeah. I had to put it on speaker, right? Because the Bluetooth was off.
I wanted to change the subject and talk about Monster Cody. And the reason why I wanted to talk about Monster Cody, rest in peace, Monster Cody. But the reason why I wanted to talk about him is because how a lot of people from up north and I suppose around the world heard your name first was through Monster Cody's book, because he talked about you a lot in his book. And I wanted to talk about the change that society don't know happens with even gang members or jewelry store thieves. Everybody could change. And the way Monster Cody put it was, you was his number one enemy. You and Monster Cody, but a lot of people don't know. I know it, but you grew up with Monster Cody and you guys were friends before you was ever enemies.
Yeah, we were.
I want to hear your side of the story because I heard Monsters.
See, like I said, when I first entered junior high school, I met his brother Kerwin first. He was my best friend and Hoover Sam, Daryl Ransom.
Mm-hmm.
So we was all friends. We just entered in the 7th grade, right? So I knew later on, I ended up knowing his whole family because we stayed around the corner from each other. Like, here's Western. I stayed on this side of Western. He stayed on the other side of Western, but it's like 2 blocks from each other. I was on 67th Street. He was on 69th. So we grew up with each other. And so Monster, a lot of people, he was short. He was probably up to my shoulder, probably, but he started hanging around a lot of older dudes. See, I guess that's where he got like most of his knowledge from.
Yeah.
From Crippin, he started hanging around a lot of older dudes, getting knowledge from them. Right. So, everybody know you hung around Tookie. That wasn't no secret.
Yeah.
You started working out with him, buffing with him and everything. So, like I said, me and Monster used to do small stuff when we was young, hit the dirt bike factory, steal dirt bikes, jack people for their little money and shit. Now, we never did no gang banging, like fighting back to back to other gang members, because he was too busy trying to build up his own rep and I was too busy trying to build up mine.
Yeah.
So I remember one time he had a fight with one of my homeboys. My homeboy came up to me and said, hey, Pretty, I'm getting ready to fight Monster, man. Can you come down here? So I come down the street. Now, I guess Monster didn't know if I was going to take sides.
Yeah.
So when he see me, he kind of back up a little. So I said, no, Monster, y'all go head up. Let me tell you something. That was the bloodiest fight I ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Dude, they beat each other straight bloody. I mean, bloody. You hear me? So my homeboy, he leaking because he my height.
Yeah.
Monster, he working him, right? And my homeboy working Monster. So my homeboy turned around and kicked Monster in the nuts. Monster buckled, but he didn't go down to the ground. His knees buckled in, but he didn't hit that ground. And Monster, man, he rose up real slow, I guess he was trying to get that pain, kill that pain out of his nuts. He jumped up and said, ooh, you fucking with the best, and got off on my homeboy. I said, oh my goodness. So my homegirls were standing there crying and hollering, talking about, Pretty, break it up. And I kept telling them, look, they both men, let them get out.
Yeah, let them
but
get
after both of them was leaking real bad, I split it up. I just went ahead and split it up because the fight could have went on forever. Because Monster had win, my homeboy had win, but they was throwing haymakers and blows. I mean, they were getting down. Yeah. So anyway, that was the first time I ever seen Monster in an actual fight. That's the first time he had hands. Yeah. He had hands. I was
so
like,
how did you guys? Well, I know how you guys became enemies because you guys.
Yeah, no, I can tell you how we became enemies, and it was a slow progress. It wasn't like overnight like that.
Yeah.
Me and Monster became enemies, okay, when the 60s and the A-Trace first started warring, right? Like I said in one of my interviews with Kev Mack, we was giving each other passes because we grew up together.
Yeah.
That's just like if me and you grew up together from the sandbox, but we from different gangs, but we still allies. And then we start warring, and I jump out the car and catch you. And I'm gonna say, oh, wait a minute, doggone, man, gone. But now I may see two of your homeboys I didn't grow up with. They just got put on. Now they're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
So everybody had certain homeboys that was from the opposite side they gave passes to because they knew them.
Yeah.
But then after a while, the passes kind of like eased up because the war got intense. So now we start throwing slugs at each other. Now we throwing slugs at each other. Now I'm not trying to actually shoot him, but I'm scaring him.
Letting him know you're there.
To me, he's shooting at me, but he's not hitting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the thing about it is this is how it started. So after a while, it was like it was crazy. It was just straight crazy how our relationship was during this war. You know, it was like I mentioned it at his service one time. We were like the Batman and Joker. You know, we didn't want to see each other go, but we had to keep the shit going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Batman and Joker, they keep warring, but they got to keep each other alive to keep the show alive.
And you guys,
so that's how me and Cody was.
Your guys' hoods are so close to each other. I can imagine you probably seen them every other day out there.
Yeah.
You ran into them every other day.
Yeah, all the time. So that's how it was.
Okay, so then after you guys both had your freedom and came home, did he ever write you? Did you guys ever write while you guys were?
Now, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I saved his letters. When the book came out, I was at Tracy. I was kind of hot. I hit him up. He was at Pelican Bay. I said, Monster, what the hell is wrong with you? I said, why the hell you write this shit? What you put this in there for? So he said, oh, Pretty, I just mentioned your name in passing. In passing? Are you crazy?
Nah, he didn't mention your name in passing.
So anyway, I kind of calmed down, right? You know, I calmed down because I was hot. Because I knew eventually I was going to have to go to the board. I was going to go to the board to years later.
Yeah.
But I didn't know this was going to be thrown up in my face. So anyway, we was writing each other from Pelican Bay. We had to get the correspondence thing. I still got the correspondence in my paperwork. So we was writing letters and stuff. And in the first letter he ever wrote me, he said something that I remember to this day because I kept that letter. Because he always called me Leo by my first name. Anybody that was cripping back in the 70s knew my first name was Leo, and they called me by Leo.
Yeah.
They didn't calling me Victor till like I got in high school.
Yeah.
So when he said, greetings, brother Leo, he said, it's good hearing from a straight general like yourself and blah, blah, blah. He said, for some strange reason, you have always occupied my nightmares. And I kept that letter. Yeah. Right. I kept that letter. That was his first letter to me. Then after that, we was writing each other about all this, you know, stuff we was doing, how we used to catch each other slipping. Half of the time we ended up messing with the same girl.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a trip. Because every time abroad, I was messing with a broad, she ended up messing with him, or the broad messing with him, and she ended up messing with me. I don't know how that happened.
That's crazy how that happens, man. That's crazy. It happens up here too. So I wanted to talk about him because you're writing a book.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell my viewers what's the name of your book.
Now, my book is going to be entitled The Pretty Boy and the Monster, right? That's what it's going to be titled. And it's basically about my life, but it's also, as I got older, how me and Monster crossed paths, right? And then how we turned enemies, and then how we got cordial towards the end of his life. You know,
man, that's something beautiful right there, man. Because when two gangs are feuding and there is a war, you really have hatred in your heart because your homies are being killed by these dudes, man. And so you have that hatred. So for you and him to both set that aside, because you never forget, but you forgave him and he forgave you, because I seen him talk about you on an interview, and I understand that you guys were scheduled to do an interview together before his passing.
Yeah, we were.
And man, that I don't want to say I'm angry, but I'm disappointed that that interview never happened, because when people from the outside look at LA gang members as a whole, you and him are at the top of the list. I mean, we hear about the 10 Speeds, the football, the Hoover T's, the Hoover Sam, the Lunatic Franks, but at the top of the, especially the Tookie, hey, especially Tookie and Raymond Washington, and they're the pinnacle of that shit, because they started it, and without them, we wouldn't be who we are today. But when it comes to thinking about LA gangs, you think about 6-0 and 8 Trey's war, and you and Monster Cody are at the top of the pinnacle when you think about that. So if that interview would have happened, man, it would have been legendary. Did you guys decide that you guys were going to do it on Kev Mack's show?
That's where we were going to do it, but I'm going to tell you what happened.
That would have been legendary, man. And
he hit me up on Messenger, right? And first I didn't know it was him. I thought, because you know people play a lot of games on Messenger. Yeah. So when he hit me up, I said, "Is this really you?" And he said, "What's up, pretty?" And I said, "Who's?" I said, "This really you, Monster?" He said, "Yeah." So I said, "You got to tell me something that let me know that's you." He said, "Remember I had that fight with your homeboy and you watched it on your street?" Yeah. I said, "Okay, it's you." So we got to talking, and we were going to do the interview, but he said he was going to New York. He was going to do some interview with somebody, and he was going to be back in 3 weeks. So about 3 weeks go by, 3.5 weeks go by, and I said, "Damn, I ain't heard from him." Hit a bump on Messenger. So Kev Mack hit me up. Kev Mack said, "You heard from Cody?" I said, "No, I ain't heard from him." So a couple of days after that, I get a call from the San Diego 30 Crips, right? And they hit me up, and they said, "You know, your boy is dead. He's gone." I said, "Who you talking?" They said, "Cody." So I said, "What happened?" First, they said the lie was somebody ran and stabbed him, and it wasn't that. He had a heart attack. You know, so I hit up call his brother up. "Hey man, you know, I'm gonna let you know, man, these dudes hit me up from San Diego about your brother." You know, so anyway, his brother called, found out, you know. So what happened, like a lot of people think, and I'm gonna just clear this up right now about Cody. A lot of people think that he actually died penniless. He was homeless. That's not the case. Cody had money. He had money. He just chose to do that. He did a Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes had billions, but he chose to look like a bum.
And wanted the people to think,
people
to think he was broke.
He was just on his own thing. So Cody, same way. Cody got in the little tent in the homeless encampment thing, right? And he could have just got him a house or whatever. He just chose to do what he did. He had money. So when people go on YouTube and say, "Oh, that's messed up," his homeboys let him die homeless, penniless. He didn't. He had money. He had money.
I heard someone else tell me that too. And you know, a lot of people they fight their demons, man. And some people just want to get away from everybody. And that's his outing. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure he had a lot of demons, just like we all do. I know you got a lot of demons. But man, I wish that interview would have happened, and I'm really looking forward. I'm gonna when your book's done, I'm gonna post a link how they could buy it on my channel, and I got a few more channels that I deal with. I don't know if you heard of Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Do you know about Mark on Blood on the Razor Wire TV from New York?
I think I heard that.
And I really think I need to hook you guys up, because he got a humongous channel, and he wrote his own book. And he promotes books on his channel, so I want to hook you up with him. We didn't do no pre-interview, even though we've been talking the last couple of days. But we talked about PD Wax, C-Dog, Lunatic Frank, Key Rock. But me and C-Dog was cellies at New Folsom for a long time. And, I haven't asked you this in private yet, but I'm gonna ask you this on the air live. Is Daryl Strawberry something that you know about?
I know his whole family.
Yeah, so
we all went to school together.
So
Daryl used to run with the homies before he got into sports.
Yeah,
when he got around, I think the 11th grade, that's when I used to see him out there on that at Crenshaw on the field swinging that bat.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was gonna blow up like he did, but yeah, that's when I seen him out there swinging that bat.
C-Dog told me that. C-Dog told me he was from y'all hood.
Yeah, he used to run with us.
That was my thing. I was supposed to go pro. I was supposed to be a pitcher, and I broke my arm when I was in high school. But that was my favorite player growing up, man. And when C-Dog told me that, he had pictures of him and everything, and I'm like, man, Daryl Strawberry is your homie. He's like, yeah, he should have been from 60s. And I'm like, is that right? He's like, yeah, he was from our neighborhood. Battle Cat. What about Battle Cat?
Oh, that's my boy right there. You know, I told Battle Cat, seen him. We was at Lowe's a couple of weeks ago, and I told him I was going to try to hook up some beats for him, right? With some music.
Yeah.
You know, but I got to get something, man, that it will suit Battle Cat, that he would like. I ain't just gonna give him no
blow his mind. You got to blow his mind.
I'm gonna give him something right he can work with. You know, and he might be able to add too. You know, I like Battle Cat. He all right.
I met him when we was out there shooting the that's where I met Key Rock. We was shooting the Sibo, Yuck Mouth, Spice One video out there in LA. We was out there for about a month, and Key Rock was up there at Battle Cat. But so Lunatic Frank, man, that's my dude. I love that dude. I haven't been knowing him as long as I've been knowing you, but he reminds me so much of my older stepbrother that's resting in peace right now. When I seen it, he's short like that, and he got that swag to him, right?
Yeah.
I told him, I said, man, you remind me of my older stepbrother, man. And I took a liking to him, and I'm hoping he gets a date, man. He's been in there for a long time. And, you told me that you had just talked to him, and I need his number because I'm doing my RolliN 60 true stories right now. And I don't know if I'm out of pocket for doing it. People told me I'm not, because it's my story and it's all about you guys, because I ran with you guys in prison, and it's not fictitious, it's facts. But I wanted to talk about Lunatic Frank before I even did a story on him and asked him what I could talk about and what I can't talk about. I don't put no one out there, nothing to do with crimes, but our relationships. Me and your relationship really wasn't that deep because I was only at Tracy for a little while before I left. I think from there, I went to Corcoran Shoe.
Yeah.
And, but me and Lunatic Frank, me and C-Dog, and me and Petey Whack got like this, man. Me and Petey Whack was like this at Pleasant Valley. And I'm hoping these dudes come home, because I'm looking forward to come. I want to come down there and fuck with you. I just was in LA. Well, I went to San Diego last year because my nephew's down there. And I was supposed to go hook up with a couple cats down there from Compton, and I never did because at the time my wife needed me to be home for something. But I am coming down there before the summer's over to fuck with you.
All right.
Ice-T. I want to touch. Okay, wait, back up. I don't want to mention Ice-T's name until I mention this dude's name. Do you remember BJ?
Yeah, I know him. That was my boy.
He was at Tracy with us, right?
Yeah, that was my boy.
He was in D-Wing with me, and he used to tell me all these stories about Ice-T. And I was in the music industry, so Ice-T was interesting to me. And a lot of people, Ice-T, he gets on here and he does these interviews, but Ice-T's originally from y'all neighborhood, right?
Actually, he's from the west side.
111?
He's not from 60. No. West side, which means he's from, look, Ice-T knew all the 30s, the Harlems, 60s, a lot of dudes from the west side, So, we always considered him a west sider, basically neighborhood.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't originated from 60s, because I know who all original 60s are.
Yeah.
But he messed with the 60s tough like that. You see what I'm saying? You got dudes that grew up in the 60s, and they might not have been a gang member, or I should say a gang banger, but they grew up in the 60s. See, so he was basically like, he grew up with a lot of the 60s. He know damn near everybody from, so he's kind of like considered from neighborhood. You see?
Hey, can you see the comment on the screen?
Yeah, let me see.
You know who that is?
Yeah, Crazo.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, Crazo. I ain't made no more cars out of. I still got the ones that I got hooked up in the closet, you know, in a box, right? But I don't do that no more. I buy some real ones now.
Hey, there's so many. There's a lot of comments up here. Sending their love to you, pretty. Who is this? Sean Whelan. He says, sounds like a blockbuster. What's up, pretty boy? Seen you on Kev Mac last week. What up, big homie? Gangbangers life coach. We'll answer these later. I got a couple more questions for you. We might want to, let me see. Oh, we've been on here 50 minutes. We might want to do a part 2 because I want to get into BJ, man. BJ was my road dog when I was in Tracy. He's the first one that handed me a knife the size of a damn broomstick. He was like, dog, he handed it to me in a Sacramento beat. He was like, put this in your cell. And I was like, this nigga's crazy. But me and BJ, we became like this. And I want to touch on him because you was friends with BJ, right?
I know his whole family.
Rest in peace, BJ, man. I wanted to really get into Keita Rock too, but I really want to talk to Keita Rock because I've been told Keita Rock was supposed to be home 2 years ago. And unfortunately, he's not home right now. And Keita Rock is a legend like you from 60s. I hear Lunatic Frank's name a lot, but from the older heads, you know, because he been gone so long. But a lot of people, when I ask people about Lunatic Frank, they're like, who is that? I heard about him, but I don't know him. And I'm like, how do y'all not know your own homeboy? But, you know, when y'all be gone so long, your name rings because it just does. You and Monster Cody was he wrote about you in his book. But Lunatic Frank, his name don't ring like it should, man, because I've heard stories about this dude, man, when I was young. You know what I mean? I got a homeboy from my neighborhood that his family's from out there your way.
Yeah.
And, Big G, man, his brother's from I believe 40s. And he used to tell me about Lunatic Frank and you guys. I do want to I got so much questions on this tablet for you, but I think that we should do a part 2, pretty boy.
Yeah.
Because we're already 50 minutes in. And I want you to tell Kev Mac, give him my number because I gotta ask him a few questions because he mentioned a couple of things I want to not confront him, but really sit down and talk to him about.
Yeah.
I love his videos. I'm a fan of his. And he was one of the real reasons, because I wasn't going to start no YouTube channel, man. But everyone was saying, dog, you did too much time, man. You need to, because nobody from up north has an authentic channel. And if they do, it ain't a Crip channel. It ain't someone that used to Crip because to be honest with you, pretty, Sacramento is like LA backwards. You know how in the 70s and 80s there was very few red rags out there, Damus?
Yeah.
Sacramento's the same. There's very few Crips in Sacramento. It's all red rags. It's all bloods.
Yeah.
So to be surrounded on all sides by bloods and still living, it's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we was the first Crip neighborhood in Northern California. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments saying Fresno 6 Deuce Diamonds was, but no, it wasn't. 6 Deuce Diamonds wasn't until 1984. We started our hood in 1983, June of 83. So that's wrong. I know a lot of people's going to say Fresno, but they're not considered up north anyway. They're Central Valley.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Hey, Young, by the way, he just hit a point and he's correct. He said, you're talking too much. Let Pretty Boy talk. I'm gonna get that comment up there. But yeah, I want to hear from you, man, because I do get carried away. And
I was gonna tell you, like BJ.
Yeah.
See, the only time BJ gave me this name, right? Mm-hmm. Before he passed. He used to call me Old Gunner. He used to call me Old Gunner. So when they opened up Lancaster, BJ ended up coming to Lancaster. And it was going to be some drama behind BJ. So he ends up coming to my yard. So everybody get at me, say, you know, BJ on the yard, you know what's up. You know about his case, right? About what happened.
Yeah.
So I told BJ, I said, look, check this out, homie. You my dog. I ain't going to let nobody do nothing to you, right? and I straight told him, I said, dude, but you know you was wrong, right? What you did. I know you be trying to make your money, but dude, you was wrong. But I'm not gonna let nobody do nothing to you because you're my boy. So he made it there his time at Lancaster and then went home, right? And when he got out, he looked out for me. You know, he sent me a couple of racks. You know what I'm saying? But I told him before he left, I said, BJ, I'm gonna just give you some advice, homie. When you get out, get you a burner because you're gonna need one, dude. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna need a burner.
Yeah, because his case was fucked up. I don't want to get in this.
Yeah, me either. But damn.
But he told me we would sell these for like 3 months, and he told me about it. And he knows he was wanted. He knows that his days was numbered. He knew that.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, his case was a big case for you guys. You know what I mean? And I know I've been in that same situation where someone I knew came and everybody on the yard wanted him. But you and BJ were pretty close.
Yeah, we was. Like I said, I knew his whole family, but I told him. I said, dude, when you get out, get you a burner, dude. Because the way he was rolling, I mean, don't get me wrong. The dude was getting his money. I cannot take that from him. Dude was getting his money. But I knew it was going to be a matter of time. So the first thing I told him when he left, I'm going to tell you right now, dude, you shoot first.
Yeah.
Somebody roll up on you and try to get you in the car, you just shoot. Because it's not going to get any worse. You know?
I like
see what happened.
Man. I like that.
Man, I was like, damn, shit, Buford? Shit.
Buford.
But yeah, that was my boy, man. Shit, damn. Now I want to see my boy C-Dog, Danny, man. I want to see C-Dog, man. See, like when you met him, he was real big.
Real big.
I knew C-Dog when he was up to my shoulder and was no bigger than my forearm. That's my boy right there from way back. I like Danny. Danny used to roll with me all the time back in the days. That was my boy. You know, and the last time I seen him, when I was at Tracy, and he walked up to me and hugged me, and you know what he told me? He stepped back after he seen me. He said, I told you kept running with the 9-0s, you was coming to prison. But you know what I told him?
He told me a little bit. He told me a little bit about his case, man. And it's his case. He told me a little bit about his case, and it's unfortunate. He's really in there for something he didn't do.
Yeah, I know.
I know. That's crazy. And you just did some time for something you didn't do.
Yeah. Yeah. Dudes, the dude set up there. I was telling you about my case the other day, right?
Yeah.
Dude got smoked on 95th and Normandy. And I wasn't even nowhere around, didn't know anything about it. So I'm like, well, damn, what's going on? So some allied homies used my car. I got cracked. So the dude that told on me, his name was TJ, not Mafia. You know, he's in Alabama prison. And the dude turned around and took the stand on me and never seen me in his life. Now, if that ain't a rat, I don't know what the hell is.
And so you don't even know the person that got killed.
I don't know the person that got killed. I never seen him in my life. Never seen him. This dude took the opportunity to come to court for a person he didn't see because he never even knew who I was. They did that out of spite because they didn't like me.
You know what?
A lot of people didn't like me back then.
You know what that tells me?
Yeah.
That tells me they was trying to get you off the street because you was doing too much.
And that's what it was about. But dude, I'd rather for you to come at me burner to burner than you go from gang member to white man and tell. So he had no excuse. Yeah. You know, and then he thought it wasn't going to catch up with him 40 years later. Well, everybody know now, I really don't care. Yeah. But he should have did it. You know, and you knew you was outright lying. So that's what happened on me. In short,
I couldn't forgive nobody that first of all told period and then told on me and had me do 32 years for a crime I didn't commit, man. And see, that's how karma and God works. He's in prison right now for killing a white dude for the rest of his life. And the reason why he's there, he may not even have did that, but it's because karma's a bitch and he told on you on a case he had no business even talking about.
Yeah. You know, so, you know, like I said, when I went in, you know, they was trying to, you know how they try to get you, hey, you know, who did it? Blah, blah, blah. I kept my mouth shut all that time. I kept my mouth shut all that time, went to the board 13 times, got denied. Well, on the 13th time is when they went ahead and gave me my date. And that's when they told me, they said, you know what? It looked like it is plausible that you didn't commit this crime. No, they said it's plausible that you are innocent of this crime, right? And I never confessed to my crime because I didn't have nothing to confess to. Here's the thing, right? If you know you wasn't there, what are you going to talk about?
There's nothing to talk about.
If you start making up a story out of desperation, then you get yourself caught up at the parole board and they're going to keep denying you. Talking about, well, this says this and this, and you're telling us this. So I just said, look, man, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I wasn't there. I don't know. So I just rolled it out. Half of the time I went to the parole board, stayed there for like a few minutes. All right, I'm ready to go. Why? I don't know. Look, I don't know anything about this case. So I'm not going to sit up here and waste my time and your time when and you keep talking about something I don't have no knowledge of, you know? So that 13th time I went, they finally let me out. But 13 times, that's a long time.
It is. What did they actually say to you? Because you've been denying any involvement in this case for 13 board hearings, and that probably ran over 20 years of going.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you what they told me. The first hearings, the first like 10, they said if you don't admit to this crime, you're gonna die in prison. You'll never get out. You know, and you're lying.
So what did they say on the 13th time when they released you?
Now, look, I'm going to tell you something. It's funny how the board get down, right? So when you go to the board long enough, you know you're going to get denied before they even come with the verdict.
Yeah.
Why? Because you got them playing the Mutt and Jeff routine. You got one of them being nice. So you already know that's going to happen. You're going to talk about all the good stuff you did, this, here, and that. Then you got the other one going to talk about all the 115s you did and how you a low life and talking bad about you. Then you got the DA on the side. He's going to tell you when they asked him when how did they say that to the DA? Oh yeah, they give him a chance to speak. He said, "Well, I feel Mr. Smith shouldn't be released. He's still what they call it a threat to the community." But so you before they even come with the verdict, right? You know you're getting denied.
Yeah.
So it's no use sitting up there listening to that bullshit. So anyway, when I went to the 13th hearing, the DA didn't say nothing crazy. They asked him to say anything. He didn't have nothing to say. Rebuttal. Both board members was talking nice to me. And I said, hold the hell up.
They let you out. You knew it then.
I knew it.
Yeah.
But that was the longest hearing I ever had. That was a 4.5 hour hearing waiting for the verdict. But I'm saying 4.5 hours, damn. But the thing about it is they did not say anything crazy to me. The DA did not oppose release. They didn't come with that Mutt and Jeff routine. They was talking all cool. And I'm sitting back there like this. I said, I'm going home.
Hey, so was that 4.5 hours the longest 4.5 hours you ever did?
If any of my hearings, all the rest of them was 30 minutes, come back in, take your ass back to the cell. Deal with it. You know,
stomach was turning. And so from the time you went to board and they found you suitable, how long did it take for you to actually walk out them gates?
See, here how it works. When you get found suitable, right, you have to wait that 120 days, right? That's for the in-bank hearing. It goes up to Sacramento before 9 board members, right? When they had 3 board members at the time for a hearing. So when you go to the in-bank, they review all the paperwork, right? See if everything's in order, blah, blah, blah. They could reverse it if they want to. But what they did when they came out, the governor had the last say-so back in, I believe it was 89 and 94, but I believe it was 89. So the governor had the last say-so. And so it goes up to the governor's desk. He has 30 days to review that. He can say yes or he can say no. So by time they turn around and the 120 days passed, I said, okay, I got past that hurdle. Now I got to get past the governor. And I said, damn, the governor don't like dudes denying their case at the board, right?
Yeah.
So by then I got to CMC. I was like 2.5 weeks. So I'm saying, damn. So they called me down to R&R And he said, you know what this is? And when he said, you know what this is, I thought it was a denial because the way he said it. Man, I looked at that paper. Shit. Approved. Man, I went back and gave all my stuff away to the homies. Man, I'm out of this bitch.
So right? Wait, did you leave that day?
No, I left that morning.
That morning,
I went down there and signed my paperwork, right? And they said, report the next morning early. Because the whole process from the time you get suitable is 150 days. That's 5 months.
Yeah.
It's 5 months. And that's 5 months, you're going to be sweating.
So you pro from CMC?
Yeah.
That's where I pro from. Where was you at?
I was on a level 2 because at that time, do you remember when they start? I don't know if you remember, you'll be using prison with this. A lot of lifers was on level 3 yards. They wouldn't let them go to level 2s unless, you know, and if you had a case that was a publicity case, double murder, whatever, sensational case, whatever, you stayed on level 3. So many lifers start piling up on the level 4s and level 3s. They didn't have no more room. So then they came out with this mandate saying that if you a lifer, we don't care if you got killed 15 people. We don't care about this. You going to a level 2. That's how a lot of lifers end up going to level 2s. So when somebody say, "Oh, he went down to a level 2, he getting out," that don't mean shit.
That don't mean nothing.
That means you just went down to a level 2. They was trying to make space. That's all that meant. So I didn't like level 2 living because it was in pods in them dorms, and I don't like sleeping with one eye open all the time because if something jump off, you gotta go for what you know.
So how was that, man? Because I never been to a level 2 yard.
It's fucked up.
I never been to a 50-50, a S and Y yard. It's always been level 4, a few level 3s, but I couldn't imagine living after doing so many years. I got 28 years in, and I couldn't imagine being in a cell for so long and then going to a dorm living when there's 40 or 50 people sleeping around. How'd you adjust to that?
Man, I never adjusted to it. Let me tell you something. Level 2s is only good for guys. I think you would have better comfortability on a level 2 if you was like 90 days or 6 months to the house or a year.
Yeah.
But to do a life sentence on a level 2 in a dorm, you'll lose it because you got so accustomed to being in your own space, right? With your own TV, your own everything. Now you sitting there trying to share a TV with some dudes who want to watch some bullshit on there. Then you in a pod where you got one dude, he doing tattoos in one corner, one dude over here shooting dope, another dude over here doing whatever, talking, running his mouth. You trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, and if some shit jump off, now you got up all night.
Hey,
and so like level 3, you can just get you a cool sleep in, and then when the door come open, you know, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen.
Yeah.
But to be staying up all night, man, nobody had time for that. But that's why I didn't like level 2 living. So when I went to CMC, you know, it was quiet in the dorms, right? But I don't know, for some reason, CMC looked like a little city, but I still never could adjust.
How many points did you
How
many points did you have?
I was, let me see, because look, see, here's the thing. When they changed the point system to let us go down to level 2s, we were, I'm trying to think, was the point system 29?
No, it went to 19, I believe.
19. I knew it had a 9 in there. It was 19. So we had a set point, the lifers had a set point system at 19.
You couldn't go lower than that.
I couldn't go lower. I couldn't even go. We couldn't go to no level 1. 2 was the cutoff.
Yeah, you remember when they changed? Okay, so I was at New Folsom. When I paroled, believe it or not, I had 160 points still, right? But they came with the new law. I think it was 2015 or 14. I don't remember what year. And they said, if you got 1,000 points, it don't matter. If you stay clean 1 year, we'll bring you down to a level 3. And I stayed clean a year, and that's how I got to CMC East. And I was like, I didn't like it at all, bro. That's why me and Lunatic Frank was. But because I heard so many stories about it being a PC yard and all this, but it wasn't. It was all good because they brought all them dudes off the shelf.
Because when I got there, it was still all mainline.
Now I don't know what happened after I left because I heard that they started flipping over all the yards.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah, that's how I ended up going from joint to joint. Because when I left, I went when I was at Lancaster, right? They flipped C and D yard, PC.
Yeah.
So I was on B and A yard.
Yeah.
Then word came down, we had to go.
Oh, they flipped AR too? They flipped AR to a PC yard now?
No, not A yard, B yard.
Oh, okay.
A yard was some type of honor yard.
In Lancaster?
Yeah. When I first left, we talking about 2000.
Oh,
so
2000.
Yeah, we talking about 2000. Okay. So then I got the Donovan, right? All Donovan is GP.
Yeah.
Word come down. They flipped.
Every yard at Donovan.
They ended up flipping 3 yard first, right?
Yeah.
I told everybody I might as well not unpack.
Yeah.
we out of this motherfucker. So they ended up flipping 2 yard. So now 1 yard is the yard, it's still GP. It gets 2 EOP buildings, 3 GP, and we was working, and a lot of us was working in the bakery. So we was going from 1 yard to the back of 2 yard working in the bakery. The PCs turned around and said, we should be working in the bakery because the bakery on our yard, they made a big old stink about this shit, right? So they gave the bakery to them, and word come down, they flipped the last yard, 1 yard, it wasn't a PC, they made it a medical yard. So I ended up going to Chuckawalla in there 3 years.
Oh,
now we knew A and B yard at Chuckawalla was PC, right? C and D yard was GP, right? All of a sudden, word come down again. I was like, man, fuck. So, because I got tired of getting out from prison to prison. Yeah. So when they said they was flipping C and D yard PC, they was doing, you know how they do that mass movement.
Yeah.
They started clearing out the buildings, just rolling you on the bus to every prison that where they kept your ass. So I ended up going to, by the end, I got my parole day. I got my date. I ended up going to CMC, and I was down to the last 2.5 weeks. And I said, man, I'm the hell out of here. So when I left CNC, now I don't know if they flipped CNC or what, but I had 2.5 weeks left.
You wasn't going nowhere.
Yeah, look, if I had to go, I was going to go. Yeah. But the thing about it is I had 2.5 weeks left. So I ended up just, leaving. So CMC was still all GP when I left, general population.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
Hey, do you know that person? She said, can you read that?
Hey, Tanae, Compton girl.
Man, there's so many comments on here. I don't want to put them all up here. It's just you got a lot of love here. And I want to tell you guys something, all my viewers. Anything that you guys donate on this show is going straight to Pretty Boy. I didn't take the time to get his Cash App. Mine's going across the bottom. But if you got a Cash App, Pretty Boy?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell people your Cash App? Anything you guys donate to Pretty Boy on his Cash App. He's going to give it to you now. I wish I would have thought about that ahead of time. If you guys enjoy this show, Cash App him a few dollars. We out here and we're really trying to keep these youngsters from committing crimes and gang banging and doing everything we did. And, when you got someone that did 32 years, someone that did 28 years, that's 60 years between us we did in prison. And it's nothing to be proud of. It's nothing to talk about. But I figured, let me start this channel because I think if I save one youngster from going to prison, I done did my job. I done did so much dirt in this city, in LA, in Seattle, Washington, that I want to get back now. And it feels good to get back. You know what I mean? But we've been on here already 1 hour and 15 minutes. We're going to do a part 2. But if you guys want to donate and you guys enjoyed this story, there's a lot more that Pretty Boy needs to I got a lot of questions, but donate to his Cash App. Give him your Cash App, Pretty Boy.
Oh, now. Hold up.
You pause. You look.
Yeah. I gotta. Okay. All right. Here I come back. Yeah. So if you want to donate,
$ Leo Handsome is LeoHandsum. So $ Leo Handsome.
You hear that?
LeoHandsum.
Yeah, man, that's his cash app. I would appreciate it if my viewers would donate something. He's took his time out, and if you guys want to tune into a great show at 3:00, tune into 12 Rounds of Adrenaline with Tony the Tiger Lopez. I'm the producer of his show. You can see I'm at the studio right now, and I got to get ready for that. Him and his fighters are coming in at 2:30, and I got to get ready for that. But it's been an honor, pretty boy. Is that what you want to be called still? Because, everyone calls me Dog.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's my gang name.
Yeah. You know what? People have been calling me that so long, since the 70s.
Yeah.
It's like they got used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until this face starts to sag.
Yeah, I told you yesterday. I'm like, you look the same as when I met you in 1991. Ain't nothing changed. You just put on a little weight like me. That's it.
Yeah, that's that pandemic weight.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for the pandemic, I still would have been skinny, But
so, I appreciate the interview, man. Like I said, I've been trying to get a hold of you for a year, man. And when you made that comment, I get notification on my phone, and I'm like, wait a minute. At first, I was skeptical. I was like, that ain't him. But then I seen how nonchalant and how you put 2 words on there. I'm like, that's him. He don't say a lot. That's him. You said, good show. That's all you said. This pretty boy, good show. But I appreciate it. We're gonna do a part 2. And get a hold of, tell Kev Mack to shoot me his line, man. I need to holler at him. But look forward to a part 2. And like I said, Prison Yard TV. If you guys, okay, there goes his cash app. What's her name? Put it on for you, pretty boy.
Who, Tanae?
Yeah, she put on your cash app for you. So
that's my girl.
I'm gonna leave that up there. Anybody want to donate to me today? Donate to him. This is his show. I'm gonna talk to you about putting together a show for you too, because his book. We gotta start a YouTube channel for your book, man. And that's what I was into, pretty boy. You don't know a lot about me, but I was into the music industry for a number of years with AWOL Records. And I know how to promote the shit out of something. I'm gonna help you get your book out there. I appreciate it. We're gonna end this show now. Good looking Gangbangers life coach. Hey, he said he learned a lot from you at Donovan too, pretty boy.
Yeah.
Gangbangers life coach. He said, I got a lot of knowledge from pretty boy on the yard in Donovan. Good dude, true G homie. So he's giving you your props. But I'm gonna leave.
Right, good looking.
I'm gonna leave Compton Girls moniker up there because Pretty Boy's Cash App is up there. So I'm gonna leave it up there for good. If you guys want to donate, go ahead and hit that Cash App and donate them a few dollars. Love y'all. Stay tuned for 12 Rounds of Adrenaline. I'll holler at you later on, Pretty Boy.
All right.
But I want my viewers to come over to 12 Rounds of Adrenaline at 3:00 and check this show out. I got Tony the Tiger Lopez hosting the show with all his fighters on here. We're going to talk about a lot of deep shit. All right, man.
All right, much love.
Later. That was Pretty Boy from Rolling 60s. Like I said, I've been knowing him a long time. I'm glad who said that I was talking too much. I'm glad you told me that because I get carried away. And I do got to slow down when I have a guest on my show. So I appreciate that. I don't take that as disrespect. I take that as something that criticism. That's constructive criticism, and I take that with a grain of salt. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I will be doing a part 2. I'm gonna have Kev Mack on here. Hopefully, I'll have Lunatic Frank, Keita Rock, and Petey Wag. Stay tuned for my Rolling 60 series. That was Pretty Boy, original Rolling 60 Crip. Check y'all out next time.